is as soon as there is a kind of agreement in a kind of legal contract that guarantees you exactly all the kind of standard academic freedoms, then it's fine.
Yeah, and your study was peer referenced.
Yeah, it was peer referenced by one of the experts in the field, Mark Noland from the Peterson Institute, who was very instrumental, or the lead author actually, of a similar study on Korea unification that made a kind of, was seen as a path-breaking study at the time.
Now, you made your study pre-Brexit.
Correct.
Would it be true, as some people might say, that Brexit has changed everything and therefore your study is out of date already?
Yeah, Brexit is changing a lot probably. Maybe we don't know exactly what Brexit is all about, but we can already see it changes a lot. And actually, first of all, it makes our study much more relevant, because out of a sudden the question of unification is now on the agenda. Before it was a kind of intellectual idea. Now it seems to be a real political question that needs to be answered in terms of outcome of our study. And I would say it's still relevant. There may be modifications necessary, but my own kind of back of the envelope calculations of the changes that may become with Brexit, they would only marginally have negative implications for our outcomes. So I still would expect relatively strong absolute welfare gains for both entities in a form of the most advanced form of unification.
And your study is the only study, as far as you know, which has considered the economic implications of the reuniting of Ireland.
Now we should be precise. Our study is the only one existing that is really using a model, this kind of advanced modeling. There are other studies out there on a more restricted level. They don't go as far, they don't go as deep as our model is able to do, and they don't work with the same kind of richness of data. So our model we have chosen is a very data-hungry model, and other researchers decided early on not to go this route because it's too labor-intensive, too much data needed. But then their outcome, their interpretations are much more restricted. We went the most advanced route so far, and the hope is that others will follow us and come up with similar modeling exercises using the same kind of richness of data, even maybe more, and in order to really create a kind of sound discussion.
Okay, one thing that people who would be opposed to the idea of a break of the union with Britain would say is, we in the north of Ireland we receive 10 billion in a subvention each year, 10 billion pounds. Your study is saying how much would the North eventually be receiving, or how would that have changed in the light of unification?
Yeah, I mean, the whole question about a block grant is a pretty complicated one. Nobody knows exactly the amount. We did a lot of research in this investigation. The numbers went from around £3 billion to £23 billion. So it's very difficult to say. So in a kind of serious way, what we did in the study, we assumed an amount of about 8 billion euros, and so we, to be more actually more on the conservative side, probably it's less, but still we didn't want to exaggerate. That's the way to build it into the model.
Right. And you're satisfied that what you've produced will withstand any criticism of the study, as distinct from the very idea of suggesting it?
Yeah. I mean, the idea to suggest it, nothing to do with me. This is something a starting point for the analysis in terms of the robustness of the study, in terms of methodologies. I'm totally convinced that it's sound. We didn't hear, and it's now quite a time since it has been published. We didn't hear any kind of critical rumors or so that we would be totally misleading. In terms of the numbers, I was stressing we have to be taking them all with a kind of grain of salt, because modeling needs assumptions, and we shouldn't take all those numbers very literally. But the direction and the range of gains our model came up with seems to be very sober.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For sure.
Okay. So, then I take my bag.
Yes.